This was one of the oddest guitar builds I've done to date. I thought it'd be really simple, but it was everything but simple. First, let's talk about the guitar body. I saw it made in a video on TikTok on the channel for Dodge's Wood and Iron. The body was described as heavily engraved Telecaster body that featured a 3D relief carving of St. Peter. It was made with roasted ash using a tested CNC file, one-of-a-kind design, and he said that he would not replicate it. It is really odd and just really stuck with me, and when he, Christian, posted for sale on eBay, I just purchased it. The image on the front of the body is of St. Peter, as said before. If you look closely, you can see his eyes piercing through the outstretched fingers of his left hand. I'm not a religious man. I love interesting stories though, and I've read about St. Peter. The image on the guitar looks painful, a man in anguish and distress. St. Peter was the first to recognize Jesus as being the Son of God. He was the chief apostle. He famously rejected knowing Jesus 3 times, and in the end, years later, was crucified in Rome upside down. If anyone had a right to exhibit anguish and distress, I would say Peter would be that person. The body is only routed for a single either tone or volume control. It also has a routing for a 3-position toggle switch like a Telecaster Deluxe. I found a circuit diagram that showed a circuit that had 2 humbuckers, a 3-position switch, and a volume control. To make it work for my 2 single coil pickups, I just needed to change the pot to a 250K and I'd be good to go. The output jack turned out to be the big challenge of the project. The body is barely thick enough due to the routing for the 7/8 hole. I tried drilling out the hole so I could fit the jack in place so the fence would have clearance to activate when the jack being inserted without binding. I totally effed up. At one point I looked exactly like the image carved into the face of the guitar. This is not a mass-produced product that I could just go out and buy another of and take another pass at. I had actually not kept the correct angle and created a small but very visible hole in the top of the guitar. After calming down and not doing anything else stupid, I gathered up all of my shavings from drilling. I mixed it with wood glue and I made a putty. I put multiple layers of tape on the surface of the guitar so as to cover the hole and to create a mold for the putty. I then fed the putty in from behind the hole and pressed it up against the tape and really packed and filled the hole until it was completely filled. I set the body aside and I came back in a couple days. I wanted to make sure that the glue had an opportunity to completely dry if this was going to work. I was really happy and relieved to see that not only had it dried, but it had created a very, very hard and appeared to be very durable surface. I sanded it lightly and then steel wooled it. I applied a mixture of dyes that I had mixed to make it look identical to the surrounding wood. After letting this dry another day and more sanding, I lightly sprayed it with multiple coats of satin nitrocellulose lacquer. Now when you look at it, it just looks like part of his face. I was so happy I was able to continue with the build and that I hadn't totally screwed it up and lost the opportunity. I purchased Lindy Fralin Blues pickups for this and also a chrome neck pickup ring. I installed a Fender vintage bridge with compensated brass saddles. The neck is a beautiful Fender made in Mexico player roasted maple neck with vintage Kluson tuners that I thought complemented the overall look of the guitar, and it just plays beautifully. The output jack is a little tight and it makes inserting guitar jack in and out a little bit of a task, but it works, and there's not any more wood I can remove to provide clearance, so there really isn't any way of fixing this. Christian, if you're listening to this and you ever decide to do this again, one alteration I would do is to find a way to put a route near the volume control so as to install the output jack into the face of the guitar. It wouldn't look like a Tele, but I think it would actually work better than this design. The final guitar assemble weighed 7 pounds and 5 ounces. Just looking at his face, it seems like it would be a lot heavier.